Alright, so unit testing with Xcode and Objective-C for your iOS or Mac applications is really easy. They have a really good, with the built-in templates here, they have really good, it just sets up your unit test for you. So we're going to use that. We're going to test an iOS app. We'll hit single view application, next, name this unit test tutorial, and make sure this is checked, include unit tests. So it's going to set up all our unit tests for us. So just create this on my desktop, and our project's created. If you see over here on the left, we have two targets, our actual application target and then our unit test bundle here. So if we click this unit test bundle and go to build phases and we look at target dependencies, you can see that our main application is a dependency for this unit test. So when we run the test, then our application will get built. Okay. So you'll also see here under linked binaries we have this send testing kit. If you don't use this template for setting up unit tests, you'll have to set up a new bundle, link your main application as its target dependency, and have this binary of send testing kit. Okay. So in our main application here, I'm going to import some classes, and import these. It just generates random numbers. So if we look at this here, we have just a basic class with some class methods here, random and random with max. And if we look at the code, it just returns a random number, or you can specify a max and get a random number within that range. Okay, so we're going to test these two methods here. So over here on the left, in our navigator, we'll open up our unit test tutorial.m file, and you can see that our interface, it's a subclass of send test case, and we import send testing kit. So let's import our CM random class here that we'll be testing. And if we had a class that needed to be created, because we have instant methods and not class methods, then we could use setup to create the class, and we could use teardown to destroy it and make sure everything's good to go. So let's delete this, and now let's create our methods. So for a test to be automatically ran, all of your methods have to start with the word test. So test random number with max. So we'll have test random, and then we'll have our test random with max. Okay, so now to have this test and whether we get some feedback, we need to call st assert, and then here are all the different test cases. So we could compare equal objects, one output equals another output, accuracy, whether it's false, whether we throw errors, make sure it's not nil, or if we do have a nil, we can test all that, whether we throw an exception, and whether it's true or false, and so on. So in this one, we just want to test that whatever we get back is not a nil object. So because we return an integer, integers can't be nil, so we need to cast this to ns number, and we'll be casting cm random random. Okay. Alright, and then the next part is a description. So what do you want this to show you in your tests if this fails? So we'll just say did not return a number. And this next parameter, we can just delete it. We don't need it. Okay, so this will test our just random number generation. So if we want to run the test, we can go up to product and hit test, or we can do command U, and this will build our project first and then run the test, and we can see that test succeeded. So if we want to look at the output of the test over here in our navigator, the very last item here shows all our build logs and tests. So the top part is the most recent test, and we can see unit testing complete. Okay, and everything's green and good to go. So let's go back to our test case and test out our other one. So st assert, and we want to assert if whatever we have here, this expression, is true. So we will test that cm random with max, and we'll have a maximum of 10, and we want to test that this is less than or equal to 10. Okay, so we want to make sure that whatever we put in here is actually returning a random number that is less than or equal to that number that we put in. So for a description, number not between 0 and 10. Okay, and then last parameter we can delete. Okay, so let's Command U, run our tests, and we have our build succeeded, then test succeeded. So if we want to look at our test output, we'll go back to that, and then we can see run all tests and everything was fine. So now what happens if we're working on a project, we're changing some stuff, and we introduce a bug? So we have this and our random with max. Instead of taking that max number, we put in something like 2000. So we have a bug in our code. So we're working and we want to build our application. So Command B, we build it, and we want to do our tests again. So Command U, our test succeeded, our test ran and succeeded, but we can see over here that we have an error, and we can see right where it is. We can click on it. It will tell us this should be true, number not between 1 and 10. If we look in our last part here in our test output, it's actually not showing up, but we do. Let me see this. Alright, well anyway, it shows us right here what it is. It gives us our explanation. If we had this side here a little bit bigger, you can see that it tells us what we input as our description if it failed. And so we can go in and see right where we introduced a bug by looking in that our test random with max, and we can go in, fix it, run our test again, and everything succeeds. We don't have any errors or anything like that. So that's basic unit testing in Objective-C and your Cocoa applications.